block, I'd imagine that means 369 wants to lock in a tank very early on in this draft.
Could be a tank, could also be trying to set up to put Bin on another tank. I really want to see Vi here. Vi has been on the ban table the entire time. I think it is a huge takeaway from a player like Kanavi, and I want to see if maybe TES are setting up to get an Urgot game here for 369. I think it's tough to blind, especially when you see that, but you could try to just go for blind mid and jungle here. Nocturne Ori.
Yeah. I was going to say that was certainly a possibility in response to the Vi. I was maybe even also thinking of like a Wukong, but getting Creme on a champion that he's had success on so far. He played the Orianna, I think, one time towards the end of their playoff run leading into this series, and it looked decently well for them. The response on the other side, Knight, maybe going to lock in this Galio. It is also a flex pick into 3 different roles, allows for a lot of opportunities for BLG to be very adaptable for the rest of this draft.
Also just means that their teamfight wombo is going to be so big. We're talking about BLG and TS trying to go for kind of similar dive strategies. I think TS are probably going to be indexing more towards having the Nocturne as a denier of the Galio being able to do much. We'll see if they're ahead, then they can definitely snowball an advantage. It's going to be the Aatrox now here for Knight. Can go for the Kennen. I think you can also try to go for that Urgot that we were kind of mentioning here. 369 has pick of the litter as what he wants in top lane.
The only issue potentially with the Kennen is you could still flex things around. I know we've seen Aatrox mid in the past. We also saw a Viego mid from somebody like Chovy a couple of days ago in the LCK finals, but it is going to get locked in, and we'll see how flexible BLG want to be with their solo laners as we enter the second phase of the draft. Both teams still need a bottom lane. Those have been pushed towards the back half of the drafts in most of the games that we've seen so far in this series.
Okay, so they lock in the Kennen. Big team fights here for TES. BLG, I think you need to start thinking about Lulu as a potential here for their bottom lane, what Lulu pairs they want to be able to play. Zeri Lulu has been very popular. We've been getting a lot of Jinx, but also needs to be a champion that's going to be able to at least survive the initial onslaught of a Orianna and Nocturne. So kind of difficult, especially with a lot of the engage supports that typically would be able to stop the engage coming in from Kennen. So I'm also thinking about AD carries. There's no Ezreal, no Kai'Sa. Corki's gone as well. I'm trying to take a look. Like, the next best available option is Tristana.
And that's very, very far down the tier list at this point, especially in the bottom lane here in the LPL. We'll say in terms of supports, a lot of the engaged supports have been already taken off the table. The Braum also banned away. You're really looking at Nautilus as your premier engager that is still left here in the draft pool, as Elk is going to get a bunch of champions taken away from him. Interesting to see BLG take that Braum away. I'd imagine they'd be willing to leave both of the Braum and the Nautilus up, because that's something that you could, you know, handshake relatively easily, but we'll see what they want to finish things off with. It looks like they're going to take away both.
So something that I called back in game 1, does Renata lane start to show up? Maybe we even get a Nico. Nico's been a champion that's actually fallen off quite a bit in priority, so wonder if that's going to be the option for either one of these teams. Crisp is a legendary Renata, so wouldn't be surprised to see it there. We also haven't gone too many AD carries. Ashe still up. A lot of options here as TS are going to be looking at it, so they have so much ability to start fights. They have, I think, the damage requisite. Maybe just need a frontliner to kind of round out their comp on 5.
Not too many frontliners still left available unless you want to, you know, go down the tier list a little bit with both the Braum and the Nautilus taken away. So interesting to see what Crisp decides to do. We'll say like things like Ashe Lulu and Ashe Renata have been popular, but again, you probably need a little bit more frontline, and you don't want to have a team composition of 4 ranged champions against what BLG have to offer right now. Elk gonna lock in the Jhin. I mean, this would make a little bit of sense as well. It's something that On has had a lot of success on. He's 3-0 on it so far in the season, and will be able to match a lot of that crowd control with things like the Deadly Flourish.
They can try to go for an early lane.
Oh! Ooh! I like this
Bard
a lot,
on 4. Trying to stop the Kennen. Okay. So does mean that the Jhin Bard lane is going to be matched by Ashe and Karma, so the range there is going to be very potent for TES. I don't want to get too baited. I don't think there's very many bot lane pairs you could try to go for here from TES. And now we get it. BLG with a composition that is kind of, I guess, all over the place. It is going to be very much on this jungle and support duo from BLG to get fights started. How are they going to be able to link up with this Vi? How can they pull Knight over on this Galio? And with the damage that they have, with the Aatrox as well, I think it's going to be a tough ask when you look at what TES have. They can even play their composition on the side of Top Esports in a bit of a different style with kind of pulling back and waiting for some of those cooldowns from BLG to go down.
Yeah, I mean, both teams have that mid-jungle wombo combo that is at their disposal, but
yeah,
honestly, I feel like Top Esports are set up really well for if Vi engages onto somebody like a JackeyLove, where you can pop that Renata ultimate and use those big cooldowns kind of as a counter-engage tool for what BLG have to offer here. So as the coaches head back to the back rooms, we are preparing ourselves for game number 4, a must-win game for BLG, a must-win game for Knight if he wants to advance to what would be his 7th straight domestic finals here in the LPL.
Tough stuff here. We have a draft where we're kind of on the fence. Top Esports can make the aggressive plays. Level 6 is going to be a huge wake-up for both of these teams, but really do favor what Top Esports are able to get done here. And if BLG fall behind at any point in this game, it is going to feel very miserable because you don't have a ton of damage coming in from mid lane. You have an Aatrox that's going to have to play into Kennen, into Ashe, Renata. This is very difficult to play from this position if you are behind. And Top Esports are a single game away from knocking out the LPL 2024 champions.
We have to remember who they are. It is BLG, the team that they have to get by, the demons that they have been struggling to conquer over the last few years. As you mentioned here, Alk, been 2-3 years since TS have taken a series against BLG, especially in an elimination format like we have right now. Early level 1 setup as TS wants to go for a little bit of an invade. Command attack thrown out by Creme to spot out the rest of BLG. Interested to see if we will get a lane swap in this situation. Somebody like Kennen could be very vulnerable early on in an isolated 2v or 3v1.
Ooh, and we're getting some adaptations here. We saw yesterday, I think it was Ala on the Kennen take summon Airy, but with electrocute changes, it seems like some of the Kennens around the world are starting to pick up this rune. So interested to see how this changes some of the burst patterns. It does allow for 369 to have a larger effect, not only in the laning phase, but come team fights. So interested to see. I'm a bit perplexed, Grapes. I would have thought that with the level 1 that TES have, I mean, you have Ashe Renata, that alone allows you to kind of push your weight around. I thought maybe they would be looking for something to kind of play for in this bottom lane, but instead just trying to get vision, and we're going to get another lane swap. So have fun, guys.
Yay. We love lane swaps. As we see
like,
Kanavi.
okay. Go.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying the junglers are pathing towards their strong side, which makes sense. And right now 369 is the one that is a little bit scared to be in that 2v1, while Bin is going to try his luck at gathering as much XP as he possibly can.
He did start the Lightning Rush on the Kennen, so doesn't have very much access to them anyway. We're already seeing On take his recall. He's going to go ahead and try to help out Bin. It's Jhin. Jin's wave clear isn't going to be great, but the amount of range and the ability to kind of manipulate the wave that he has is going to be good enough into a Kennen early on. So tough stuff. Again, we're looking at early game skirmishing, level 6s for both of these teams. Who is able to get it first, specifically in the jungle? How much information can you get on both junglers? There's an early ward onto Wei's Raptors. Doesn't quite spot him here, but with them going to opposite sides, I don't expect for them to be really setting up for a dive. It depends on how much damage they're able to take for both of these top laners.
Yeah, it looks like right now, especially with On down in the bottom side to help out Bin, no threat of a dive. Especially with Kanavi not there just yet. A little bit early on the crash here for Top Esports. They crashed on 3 instead of 4, which would have been a better time for Kanavi to be around to play. Things are a little bit quieter right now, but so far, advantage in terms of gold very slightly going towards TES.
Some people might look at On being like, hey, well, you dropped a ward and then you left. Well, he doesn't want to mess up the experience, right? Especially in lane swaps, your ability to get gold and experience is very, very integral to whether or not it actually works. And so we're going to see the dive here. On is already back top lane. Wei's here as well. And
Yeah.
Kanavi has to really make this work.
369 already used all of his cooldowns. He flashes straight into a Q from on. Oh, Elk! He's not able to get the kill. The minions are not going to be able to finish the job with the 4-shot just barely out of range.
Oh no, and now we get to see it on the opposite side. What can Bin get done?
Okay, the fear is not going to get untethered. He flashes the wrong way for it. Bin could be in trouble. The Q3 is spell shielded, and it'll be only an execute onto Crisp. That is first blood going to TES.
God, it doesn't feel good. Bin making mistakes here in this pivotal game. It was a game 5 where BLG and the rest of the squad are not able to close out a big gold lead, and here doesn't save his flash or uses it in the wrong manner, and now has to immediately TP back into this play. The Twitch predictions, we keep getting BLG believers, but TES are slowly starting to make that come to life now. As we get a look at this replay, this is just going to be what every AD carry dreams of, or doesn't. It's their nightmares, really. The fabled auto attack cancel of doom.
And he burned the flash as well. Oh, he was so close. This is a good Chad right there. And then in the bottom lane dive as well. This is just really well played by top, but also Bin maybe flash the other way to prevent that tether. I don't know.
Yeah, so he already has the yeah, so he's just dodging a stun, but I mean either way, I think you just have to flash from underneath the turret and keep Kanavi there. So not able to get all that much. Now we're seeing the rotation happen here. JackeyLove and Crisp are back in the top side. They're going to get this push in before the Grubs. 45 seconds, and that is going to be there for the team. Both mid laners having ultimates. It's going to be a pretty big game changer, but there are a couple summoners here missing. Kanavi most recently using his flash, so him and On must have been getting down and dirty open top side.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how that happened. Maybe we'll get a replay eventually here, as the Dragon has been started up by BLG after they see Kanavi up on that top side without his summoner spell. Should be easily collectible here for Wei, who now also has a multiple camp lead over the Nocturne and is looking very, very good in the early game. A bright spot here for BLG.
Yeah, Wei making sure that while that dive was happening, he was able to take some camps. So he's going to be able to make his way over, and you already see 369 does not have teleport,
Nice
and
handshake
Aatrox is on the way.
On just below 100 HP. It's a really nice job by Jackie and Crisp to at least make sure that the overloaded top side for BLG doesn't result in too much, as Bin has arrived to try and take a crack at these Grubs potentially, as BLG, they're doing a really good job at securing these early objectives, even though the kill and the gold so far has not necessarily gone their way.
Yeah, two minor interactions there that could change the style of the fight here. I'm going to hold that now. Knight here with the ultimate.
Yeah,
Kanavi does not have level 6 and is nowhere near this, but TS cannot get into a hit. Maybe he can try to make the steal. Oh!
Did he get it?
He stole it with Q!
Oh my god, that should have been free for BLG.
It's a heartbreaker, but it doesn't change the game all that much. Still 2 Grubs to them. It's mostly just going to stop them from getting an additional feat of monster slaying for them. And, I mean, great steal coming out from Kanavi, but BLG now, first Drake, 2 of the Grubs. I think they're fine currently with where the game is at.
So taking a look around the map right now, it's both Elk and Bin down pretty significantly in the gold department. Bin has really been yanked around back and forth, kind of like what BLG were doing to top a little bit earlier on. Is now looks like a play is going to be made towards Creme. Already has flashed away. The shockwave does connect onto 2, but Creme doesn't have any mana, and Wei should be able to pick this one up with ease. On the other side, though, will fall as top Esports get one right back.
Wow, On got scammed by that portal, though. Oh, and
From
now Elk has a flash.
He does have the clench to be able to get away from the fear. Instead, opts not to use it just yet. Here comes Chris. The handshake is not offered just yet. Underneath the tower, Kanavi goes. One more shot. Will not be able to take him down, but here comes the curtain call. Kanavi is going to just back in his face, emote on top of him, and make sure that 4-shot does not connect with the block from Chris.
But a big waste of time here now, as BLG can set up around the map. They can try to put down vision into enemy jungle, and if they stay for this, Wei is on his way towards the bottom lane. Mostly just going to be finishing up the scuttle, and there are a lot of topside camps that this Vi can start to take control of. He's probably going to wrap around after a couple of these camps on his bottom side quadrant. So we can take a look at this replay. Yeah, it is literally just Q. Okay. Wow, the Orianna ball just barely gives it to him. I mean, it's impossible for Wei to get all 3 of those. You can't smite all of them, the cooldown as well, so it's a small win for TES.
Yeah, and right now they are in the driver's seat for this game. Up 800 gold. They have lost out on that early dragon and are down in grubs, but in terms of having JackeyLove ahead, that is, of course, their franchise player, somebody who they always like having that advantage for. Take a look at this picture-in-picture to see what exactly happened on this play. Oh, just messed up the placement on the E, unfortunately.
That's what I'm saying. He got scammed on the portal, which
Yeah.
is, that's a Bard thing, you know, happens. On has been, you know, a little bit hit or miss so far, and I think that has been some of the contributing factors towards Elk and On as a duo, not necessarily getting a ton of respect when it comes to international bot lanes, but here and now, we are at a spot where, you know, objective spawning in a minute and a half's time, they're both on a very similar timer, so the cross map is available to both of these teams, but we're talking about those ults that are now available. Kanavi and Creme, that Nocturne Ori combo is going to be very, very potent, especially with some of the summoner spells that they're able to grab in the last few minutes.
Take a look at JackeyLove once again, doing very well so far in this game. Now has that Enchanted Crystal Arrow available, and remember, On does not have flash for the time being, so Wei around the area to make sure that he is going to keep his bot lane safe. Dragon spawning in less than a minute, as well as those second spawn of grubs, so a multitude of objectives to fight over if either team wants to pull the trigger. For BLG, they've been controlling the early game objective game very well so far. It would be very nice for them to pick another one of these up and continue to at least stack that up in terms of finding little advantages for themselves. Because remember, in that last game, Top Esports might have been down in terms of gold, but they were able to pick up the dragons, get the Hextech Soul eventually, and that was a big factor in terms of them winning that game and turning it around.
And shout out to that ward that's right over that wall where Kanavi is right now, because it is doing so much heavy lifting. They spot out Wei, they know where he is. He's also now taken a reset, so TS are trying to catch this mid-wave very high, and once they do this, they can move into either side of the map. It seems like they are prioritizing this dragon, trying to at least stop BLG from getting too many of them early here. Kanavi is on this side of the map, and depending on how much they can stall BLG from starting up these grubs, they can actually play for both sides of this objective. Kanavi will be able to solo this. They can actually stop BLG from contesting these grubs and just use the Nocturne Paranoia to put them in a really good spot. Creme also will have TP available if they really want to make this play, but seems like they're not going to go for it.
So just a trade. It should be BLG getting the majority of these grubs, potentially having the mites in their favor, as on the other side of things, Top Esports is going to try to even up this dragon count at 1. So, seems like both sides are comfortable handshaking, excuse the pun, as Crisp is now on the Renata Glasc in this game, and keeping things at a relatively even game state for the moment. Neither side feeling like they want to fight just yet.
5 grubs is nice, but grubs is a win more objective. They need to be able to hit these turrets, and every single one of these turrets coming in from TS is full HP, barely any damage done to it, whereas there's already some plates going down onto this bottom side. Need to see what BLG will be able to do with this objective. 4 minutes before the Herald, I'm thinking probably a big focus for BLG, and so in the next few minutes I want to see if they're going to be focused on grabbing summoner spells, making sure that they're at an advantage coming into that fight.
Now potentially been a target here as 369 gets away from the chains. I feel like right now here, I'm looking at Kanavi and Creme. They have the Nocturne Ori combo. They have not utilized it just yet, and I feel like that's a very easy go button that they could push if they want to. But right now, BLG, shout out to them, have not really put themselves in situations where they could get capitalized on in that fashion.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I think at this point, if you're not going to use it, like as soon as you get level 6 or there's a fight that's really kind of in your favor that might make it go that way, just finish your first items. I know Creme is a bit far away from finishing Saros, but it seems like Kanavi is going to be at least finishing what looks to be an experimental Hexblade, and that'll be definitely much better for him in terms of power. So seems like for right now, TES are fine with the map state and are looking more closely to the next dragon spawn or next objective to potentially set up. Again, I'm looking at summoner spells now. Wei, Knight, and Bin, everybody on BLG having their flashes. This should be something that TS is going to be looking for in a few minutes coming up.
So early setup around it, of course, not super important, but just making sure you know where BLG is, and you know, making sure that when a play is initiated by them, you know how to respond quickly enough. JackeyLove getting a little bit of priority in the mid lane, as that is the name of the game right now for TES. Enchanted Crystal Arrow is going to come out, and a nice dodge away from Wei to make sure that doesn't connect.
Alright, that's one tool down, but 369's ultimate is coming back up. Also has a teleport coming in for this play if they want to. Oh my god, Wei with a insane flank, just barely is able to get out from underneath the command move. But getting more of a holding pattern here. Both teams trepidatious around this next couple of fights, because in 2 minutes time, we're going to have the Herald spawning, and we're going to be having this next Dragon up. I think probably looking towards this Herald as the next fight, right? Like,
yeah,
it just has to be the play. If it's a denial from BLG, or if they're able to grab this objective, would be nice. I really want to see TES push the state of the game. Get some summoner spells at this point, because if you walk in with Flash, Ghost, or Flash and Cleanse still up on Elk, and some of these members, you are, I think, asking for trouble from BLG.
We've had some really slow early games so far. I feel like
2 games in a row now,
yeah,
for sure.
The LPL is always known for being the super bloody league and things like that, but you can feel the pressure even for some of these players. And I guess both teams know that their team fighting is going to be very, very strong, and that is the strength of their composition, whether it's the Vi Galio or the Nocturne Ori alongside the Kennen. So maybe neither side willing to go for a skirmish that could prove disadvantageous, as long as they feel like they're in a comfortable enough spot right now, as the gold has rather equalized a bit. BLG were down at about 1,000 like about 10 minutes ago, and they've brought it right back to even.
So far, I've liked how BLG in this series have attended to their side lanes and made sure that their waves are in proper order. That has been, I think, a strength of theirs so far that has at least kept them relevant even in some of their losses. So BLG continuing to kind of keep the holding pattern, a small experience lead, as Knight is a full, basically half a level over Creme right now. Not too much of an impact, as Creme will be able to hit level 11, but things like these start to add up. The minor stuff starts to kind of add up, especially in a series that is as close as this one.
Yeah, and his opponent here, Knight, on the Galio, has yet to make a significant play here in this do-or-die game for BLG, but he knows what is on the line. This man has made 6 consecutive finals in the LPL on 3 different teams. He does not want that streak to end here today. Gonna have to be huge in these engages, following up on Wei in order to force that game 5, which BLG were oh so close to getting to after what could have been, you know, a game going to them in game number 3.
And it feels weird because usually when we see BLG, and specifically Knight, in places of control, or when he is at his best, is when he has tools to carry a game. Galio, typically, and especially with the build he's opting for, is not a champion that has the most amount of an ability to carry a game or to kind of impose his will. He is playing more for the setup, more to kind of follow up on the rest of his team, and I wonder what kind of impact that is going to have on a series and a game here that is so important for BLG when you take away, I think, the keys to some of your success, having one of the best mechanical mid laners in the world.
So top Esports going to start off this Dragon. Going to be tough for BLG to engage into it, just given Christ is available here on the Renata. Steal! Not secured as Kanavi lands the final smite. Now teleport comes in. It'll be Bin joining the party. All 5 members of BLG here to match the 5 of TES. Chanter Crislero comes out. Go straight forward. There comes the Nocturne Ori, and there goes 369 with the Kennen ultimate. It takes down 1. Renata ult is huge as well, as Elk is locked down for just a little bit. The numbers advantage so far in favor of TES. It is just going to be the curtain call. A shootout, not a ton of low health bars, so not an execute in sight. And top Esports are going to escape with their lives and with the Dragon in their hands.
With the immobile carries, you would think, hey, we should be sending Bardolt a lot more often. I mean, at least get the flash, the same kind of criticism that we had for TES. And in this point, the Bardolt just misses. Creme doesn't even bother to use his flash, just very calmly walks out of it. And that's the Dragon going over. 2 Dragons now here for TES, and a gold lead that kind of is completely negligible at this point. It is even in this game, but it feels like TES slowly starting to eke themselves into this game as a victory.
It looked like potentially 369 ultimate was going to do enough, but now looking for another play here onto Elk. Lands a stun, a lot of chunk damage here, but the teleport will be matched here as Knight is looking to try and re-engage. Deadly Flourish lands onto 369. The Kennen trying to get a final blow with the bailout, but will not be able to, as the Feet of Warfare is picked up for BLG as they get another kill in their hands right before this Rift Herald is available for the taking.
This is so tough. Kanavi and Creme have their ultimates. And it seems like TES, even with the 5 grubs on the side of BLG, down a member, are a little hesitant to walk up to this objective. They have Ashe ultimate coming up in 10. I think this is going to be the spot that they find it, and no Bardolt again.
Knight, he lands a taunt, it's onto Creme. He is locked down, but the shockwave comes down and takes down Elk. That is 35 seconds of Jhin being out of the fight. Now, JackeyLove can try to glide here with the Rangers' focus. Wei taking down half HP, but in comes Bin. He's got the World Ender on, and JackeyLove will fall after. That bailout goes down. Kanavi falls as well, and BLG win the fight.
The solo laners for BLG step up when it's needed most. We had questions,
Knight?
and Knight just flashes forward for Creme. I think that's a little too adventurous, brother. I like the attempt, but now you're losing out on that summoner spell. BLG are definitely feeling the weight of this game. An elimination if they lose out here in the lower bracket semifinals, as we're kicking it to this replay of this fight. This is what I wanted to see. Unfortunately, Kanavi still has the spell shield, but this Nocturne Orianna combo is so disruptive to what BLG want to do. And while the rest of this fight is nice, as soon as this goes, I think the play is over, right? This damage coming in from Wei forces out the flash. There's not enough damage here for JackeyLove to take down someone like Bin. I think they needed to just cut their losses, but TES wanted to go for more and end up biting a little bit too much from the hand.
Now they're about 500 gold, but Rift Herald was not taken off of that play. Now it was started up by Wei once more. Kanavi and Creme, they have the Nocturne Ori combo again. They can use it if they decide to go in onto Wei. Bin joining the fray as well. Elk very far away. Knight has no hero's entrance, but the Tempered Fate will land onto Creme, who's been caught out once again, this time without a flash. Does not combine with the Vault Breaker, but the Assault Battery lands all the same. Creme is down, and Bin picks up the kill. A huge taunt comes through on the other side for Knight, but 369 will rip apart the backline for now. Knight will fall. JackeyLove still alive, and they will pick up 4. It has just been left alive here for BLG. Will he be able to do anything? I don't think so. It's an ace for top.
And it's all 9s here as JackeyLove gets a triple kill. 369 opens up the fight for TES, and it is back and forth between these two teams as they are gonna grab themselves the Rift Herald. They can even make a play in a minute's time for the Dragon. There's an Otacon that is up and available. It is feeling like these two teams do not want to give a single inch in this last match, potentially.
And JackeyLove, I think we saw there on the lower third, that's 3,000 kills in the LPL. What an accomplishment for a player like that. Now 5-1-3 on the Ashe. And it really looked like BLG could have been in control after winning that last skirmish, but Creme continuously able to survive after, seemingly being caught out of position.
I mean, this was a great cancel, and I think some of the great animation cancels coming in from the BLG squad, but just not enough. And right here is the big game changer. If 369 does not get this ultimate off, does not find so many members and stun them and deal this much damage, I think that this fight is completely turned on its head, especially with Bin in the backline doing regular Aatrox things. So they got some summoner spells. Elk has no flash, no cleanse for the next 4 minutes. Galio as well, there was no flash available from that previous play. Seems like BLG will need to be able to recalibrate before they're able to find themselves again. Oh my god.
Oh my goodness. What a lower third. Calcium
levitating.
Everybody.
Oh my god. Squid Game
Banger
release.
song.
That's crazy. Yeah, so they're starting here for this Dragon.
Okay, they're going to go in here with the Galio combo. Knockup does land onto Creme once again, but a really nice Renata ultimate's going to stall a little bit of time. Temper Fan lays onto 2, but it's on the people of BLG, and Wei will go down first. Kennen ultimate doesn't do all too much, as Bin has already arrived here with the teleport in hand, has the World Ender, going to try to heal up, but will be taken down shortly by JackeyLove unless he's able to find something. No, it is JackeyLove still alive in the back line. 369 and Kanavi will follow on over with the portal and make it another team fight win for Top Esports.
And BLG bros, they are falling to the wayside. Top Esports win another team fight. They have still the Herald in their back pocket if they need it, and they've got an Otacon that's starting to throw a few hands with some of the members of TES. They're going to get themselves the revives. They can even grab the Dragon afterwards, and TES are running away with this game now.
Just think about where we were, I guess like a little over an hour ago. BLG were up 10-1 in terms of kills, up 8,000 to 9,000 gold, ready to take it to a 2-1 lead, and now it is all Top Esports. And it starts with another, flub to engage a little bit. Knight only got 1 knockup onto Creme.
Yeah, and look at where the damage dealers are. Yes, it was Elk with this ult, but the curtain call just barely doesn't hit onto anybody from TES. And then On is here. Galio is trying to make some plays. Knight is flashing forward, but you're playing Galio. This is not a Yone. This is not a Syndra. This is not a Silas or a Kali or any other champions we expect for Knight to be playing. It is this Galio that is not able to provide the damage that BLG need. And it takes a long time for them to find kills. The HP that TES is building into, the Seraphs that we see, the Black Cleaver from Kanavi, they have all different ways of kind of increasing how much HP they have. And it takes so long for these fights that someone like Ashe gets an insane amount of value. And now JackeyLove, the franchise player for TES, might be able to kind of bring them over the line alongside the other members of TES to get them to that lower bracket finals.
3,000 gold lead now as they have the Otacon buff as well. Pick up Chemtech's Soul Point. And Top Esports going to use this buff to the absolute max. Going to break up in many structures as possible. Get as much gold into their pockets as they can before the Baron buff goes alive in about a minute's time. Bot lane tier 2, now the target. And looks like BLG going to try to force the initiative here. On, gets hit with the Tempered Fate. And the Shockwave will land on it too, though. Bin has to flash away immediately. Already has to pop the World Ender. In goes away, though. Can Knight save the day? Will not be able to find a knockup with the hero's entrance and might actually be in a bit of trouble here. He has to flash out underneath the tier 2 turret. Kanavi without any mana, but still has the HP bar and has the rebirth. He will head back to the fountain with Top Esports taking that tier 2 as a reward.
Close, but again, Otacon revives. They can play with their food just a little bit more. TES, like you said, grab a bottom tier 2, and they get a lot of summoner spells from it. No flash, no cleanse from Elk, no flash from Bin or Knight. Insane stuff coming in from TES. They are the unexpected underdogs coming in for this series. To think that we are now here, like you were saying, an hour ago it was looking like BLG were going to go up 2-1, and now 4,000 gold in the lead, and it just feels like momentum is continuing to shift in their favor.
And in terms of, you know, the damage that we were talking about just a little bit ago in the team fight, we're not there yet for BLG. Elk has gone for that like Peace Shooter build, does not have that third completed item yet where he'll get to get more AD. Bin and Wei are bruisers, but they don't have enough damage just yet in their kits to dish out a lot. So is a lot of the waiting game now that has to be played here for BLG until they hit their crucial spikes to allow them to maybe force a comeback of their own. Because Top Esports, they know all too well that a lead like this is not safe.
This is not the build we want to be seeing from Elk, the guy that we were building up throughout this series. His consistency this year, I think, has really leveled up alongside BLG. But this is the build that I feel like is not really going to be able to do much. Maybe on 4 items, there's a potential here. On just throwing the Tempered Fate just to check where the Baron's at. Seems like TES are not going to be on that objective. But it's going to be, I think, a very crucial ultimate no longer available.
He got the back cancelled. In comes Kanavi as well, although he might have gone a little bit too far forward. The taunt lands onto him. Curtain Call comes out, and Kanavi will be shut down as Wave picks up 460 gold. Creme dodged away from the 4th shot, but this is now BLG's opportunity. They land the tether onto Creme. He will get sent right back. Deadly Flourish will not connect with the dissonance, and he will have to pop the stopwatch in time. In comes Knight as well. Creme now has the Shockwave at his disposal, could try to find some sort of play as 369 is on the flank with his flash and slicing Maelstrom as well. And BLG are just too scared to get anything more than that one kill. They will back away with their prize happily.
You can see right now that TES recognize that any small mistake, and BLG are willing to pounce. Remember even game 1, there's a few moments there where TES were starting to find the lead, and then immediately it was BLG all the way. Same thing in game 3 where we saw BLG were starting to kind of come to a lead. There was a bit of an even early game, and then it just took one fight, and BLG just pounced all over Top Esports. So the flash coming out from Creme, that'll be a little bit of a reprieve. And Bard, with this ultimate coming up, I want to see him find targets, find Creme in this next fight. Otherwise, we're looking for some other summoner spells. Maybe we can fish for a JackeyLove flash.
I mean, that's just such a small victory at this point as well, though. Like, if you, depending on what resources you throw that way, that flash might not even be worth it in the grand scheme of things. If it ends up costing you members, as soon as one person goes down, or if Wei gets chunked out and forced back to base, TES can immediately start up the Baron. They have a lot of damage in their composition, especially with the Ashe, who, you know, now at 3 items can really pump things out. BLG, they need to continue to find these picks. They need to utilize Wei and Knight. The combo that we talked about when they first locked it in at the start of the Game 4 draft is now up to them. It is up to Knight in order to find something, to find an avenue back into this game, to try and force the Game 5 here in the LPL lower bracket semis.
And it's tough. 40 seconds before that Chemtech Soul spawns, and obviously did get a buff recently to the soul they were able to grab. I think also the healing and shielding, the tenacity bonus that you grab is definitely very nice when you have a Renata, when you have an Orianna to help. So BLG, they have to come to this fight and they got to come correct. Otherwise, it is not going to be a good look for them. Creme still on the top side, pushing out this top wave. He's probably going to be looking for a teleport into this dragon pit. We see that Knight right now playing in Fog of War. He's going to have to join up with the rest of his team, and this is so important. BLG cannot give up this choke. They need to stay in this part of the river, make sure that they're contesting on mid wave. There's a TP from Creme. Seems like he's going to be the one to contest on the mid wave here versus Jhin.
Nocturne Ori combo going to be crucial here, as this is Chemtech Soul if TS are able to pick it up. Mid lane priority currently dominated by BLG, at least for the moment. But soon JackeyLove will be able to clear this wave out with the Runon's Hurricane and head right back to the Dragon Pit. Tempered Fate comes out. Flash away from JackeyLove. That is a big cooldown now if Wei wants to go in onto the Ashe.
No flash on JackeyLove or on Creme. And I really wish this damage HUD was not up right now. I want to see what the Hourglass cooldown is for Creme, but we're getting a fight.
Call. BLG knows that this could be one of the last fights that they play in this series unless things go their way. Here comes Wei on the massive flank. They found JackeyLove. They taunted him up. He has the bailout on top of him. He will be alive for just a little bit longer. JackeyLove is still down. He will not fall. JackeyLove reigns supreme until he finally is bursted down by the bailout. And here comes Knight. He lands a two-man taunt. Knight is unrelenting. Knight refuses to lose. He takes Chris down to half HP, forces 369 back, and BLG will win this fight as long as Chris is unable to get anything more underneath this turret. Bin will escape with a tower shot on top of him, and BLG, despite giving up the soul, will keep themselves alive.
That's the big if. They give over the soul, and TES will find themselves with a Chemtech soul. What part of this game reminds you of our last game here in this series? Is it a soul going over to TES? Well, it isn't an overwhelming gold lead. It's a win for BLG, but it feels Pyrrhic right now. They're getting ready to set up around this Baron. They still have all 5 of their members, and Wei is on his, he's kind of making his trek to the Baron. 369's near the pit, and Kanavi does have the ultimate. Can he make the steal happen?
Yeah, Creme doesn't have the teleport, but he has just respawned. BLG has complete control of vision in the pit finally. Scryer's Bloom by 369 will spot things out. He has his ultimate, but no flash to get into the back line just yet. Baron's at 3,000 HP. Here comes Kanavi. Can he get the steal? It should be a 50-50 if they try to force it down. Who's going to get it? Kanavi finds the Baron, and in comes 369, slicing him up with the Maelstrom. Elk will fall, but Wei and Bin are still very strong. The Shockwave does not connect. It's a 4v3 in favor of Top Esports right now. Bin on the run as the rest of BLG have to head back in base in retreat. Kanavi continuing to hunt down the Aatrox, and Bin will die. Kanavi with the smite of the season.
2.5 minutes. What can TES do with this Baron? You have Soul, you have Baron on your backs. You need to be able to close this game out. This game is getting closer and closer. It almost feels like on one end, Knight does not want to be able to lose this series, but on the other, TES feel like they have a date with Destiny against JDG tomorrow.
And so with this Baron buff and with Bin down for 20 seconds, those are some staggered death timers right now that Top Esports can take advantage of. They're hitting onto this mid lane tier 2 surely to take that down. And now Wei could potentially be in a little bit of trouble here. He's going to get caught out. The Vi will be in a lot of hurt as Creme picks up the kill. Now a numbers advantage once again in Top Esports' favor as they still have the Baron buff for another 100 seconds.
Oh, and they're just pushing on every single lane. TES have been able to execute that much better. BLG seem a little bit lost. They've been great about tending to their side lanes, but I think that right now this Bard is not providing enough. We are not seeing too many of those ults really open up, and Elk just walks into fog.
Oh, really nice use of the Tempered Fate to keep the Jhin alive, and now 369 could be the one with the target on his back. He doesn't have the flash. Curtain Calls comes out to try and slow down the Kennen. The 4-shot connects, but in comes Creme. The Shockwave will land on a 3, but it should not be enough, and TES will drop. 369 now without a life for the next 50 seconds, and Bin trying to escape on his own. Creme will not be able to close the distance, and it will once again be BLG holding the line.
It's going to be one of those series, man. This game 4 feels like it's going to go forever. It's only 33 minutes, but it is just this back and forth. TES still with the gold lead, but individuals getting caught out slow the game down. As we get a replay of this Baron, just letting Kanavi get into this pit is not the play. There's no real way for BLG to stop them from doing so. I mean, it's such a tough spot to be in. The rest of the team being held up by 369 and this Kennen. And it is all of these summoner spells that are gone. It is these plays that are keeping TES in the game and in contention for that lower bracket final tomorrow. BLG now having to make the defense out of their base. It'll be the last wave with this Baron. And we've got the Elder in 2. Tempered Fate just goes wide, and that might be a Tempered Fate that On wants back if they want to have a chance in this game.
A lot of engage tools available. All 5 ultimates for TES at their disposal as the tier 3 becomes the next target. The Baron buff will now expire. Those minions will be a little bit easier to take down now. But look at Kanavi. He can pull the trigger and try to send BLG home right now. The Deadly Flourish will connect just onto 1, and JackeyLove will be able to get back safely. And BLG, they survive the Baron push without giving up an inhibitor. That should be a win in its own right. But it looks like right now TES still going for the throat. They are going to continue this siege.
Bilibili are stuck in their base. There's no way for them to get advanced vision, no way for them to see this dragon or even get a flank teleport ward. 369 wants to just wait in the wings. He knows that Fog of War, the denial of information as to his position, is more important than anything for his team. 1 minute now, a reset here coming in for most members of TES, and this will be the time that BLG needs to spend moving their vision lineup and making sure that they can find something, some angle to get themselves back into this game, because it is going to take a miracle, maybe 4-item Jhin, which is so close. Infinity Edge very, very close here for Elk. That could be a difference maker, but I'll be honest here, Graves. This feels like TES are going to be making a death march, a final push to be able to send themselves into lower finals, and that would be so exciting. JDG versus TES, so many storylines. Kanavi with his huge revenge arc, showing that he got the better of the trade potentially tomorrow. So much on the line here.
Elk approaching that Infinity Edge, as you said. That Pea-Shooter starting to look like in Plants vs. Zombies when you put the upgrade on top of it. That's a 4th item completed here for the Jhin, as this dragon will spawn. It is Elder at the disposal of TES or BLG, whichever team is able to claim it. As since that last Baron fight, neither team has wanted to force a fight because they know what is at stake. For BLG, it is potentially their lives here in split number 1. A failed trip to finals for the first time since 2023 for this team, since 2021 for somebody like Knight. They're going to look for the Tempered Fate onto Crisp right now. Not a priority target, so instead they will back away and allow for top to start up the Elder Dragon.
There it is, and Elk clearing out the mid-wave. He'll have access to Curtain Call, but again, that turn from Creme and Kanavi. Look at 369 on the flank.
There comes that Nocturne O-Ring combo. We land onto Elk, and Creme will find his mark onto the mid laner, or onto the AD carry here for BLG. On, now forced to run. There's the Maelstrom from 369, and Wei will go down on the wayside as well. Crisp and the rest of top esports looking to push forward here. JackeyLove gets yet another, and that should be it.
That's going to be the game. Knight gets chased out. Kanavi's going to prevent him. All right, he gets the TP. Fine, Knight. You can watch your base crumble. You can watch your chances at making 7 finals in a row disappear before your eyes.
There might be struggles along the way, but at 7, 3, and 10 in the moment that matters most, the Creme rises to the top here in Game 4. Just one more player is alive. It is Knight, who has made it to 6 straight finals and is going to watch the hopes of a 7th fall right underneath his own base. They're onto the Nexus turrets. They've taken down 1. Knight will drop. It's going to be the Tempered Fate. Not just yet. Knight is still alive. There's still some death timers up. 369 lands another ulti. They're onto the Nexus turrets. They're onto the Nexus. And top esports are advancing to the LPL lower finals.
Knight might have been a kingmaker, but today he is merely a pawn in top esports domination here of the lower bracket. There was questions about their ability to play against IG. There's questions about their ability to play against NIP. And today, I think they have cemented what was a questionable early start to 2025 by destroying a BLG that was not quite on form, that was not quite as sharp. And now they find themselves with a best of 5 tomorrow against JDG.
How crazy is it that they just have to go and play another game immediately after this? That's that is wild. But, you know, not just for Kanavi, for somebody like 369 as well, getting to play up against JDG once more. And if they get through that, it is the rematch of the Demacia Cup Finals, of the group stage from earlier against Anyone's Legends. JDG, they have the potential to have a really crazy lower bracket miracle run, taking down all their demons along the wayside, whether it's Kanavi's old team or, you know, 369's former teammate in Knight. And now, of course, JDG standing in their way.
So much on the line here. I mean, the fact that they won today, big surprise. I know we keep bringing it up, but the predictions from earlier today, only one person, including our fan Discord, including the Twitch predictions, thought TES would win today. Great job, Brew, dude. You've earned yourself a pat on the back. Congrats. And congratulations again to TES, man. Such an incredible story. It's been 3.5 years before they could win a series. And it's not just any series. It's not just a regular season series that you're just kind of playing and, cool, we get an advance in our placement. It's an elimination game versus BLG.
I mean, that's the best way to break the streak, right? It was, what, 2022, the last time that Top Esports took a series? And what better way than to knock them out of the playoffs? And BLG, the World's Finals from last season, are going to end their LPL Split 1 of 2025 in 4th place. 4th place for many teams is great, and you'll take that, but not for this team, who had so many expectations running back the same roster that found so much success in 2024.
And I wonder if there are going to be any changes. We kind of have been teasing this a little bit, but for BLG, they made that swap at the end of last year, or the halfway point of last year, with Wei over Shun. What is that going to look like for this team? Because BLG is not just the best team in the LPL for the last 2 years. They are the team of the LPL. They're the team that made it to grand finals. They're the team that made it to finals of being able to push in multiple internationals these past couple of years. This is a team that is expected to do well, to bring home trophies. And a 4th, like you said, is great for a lot of teams, not for a BLG.
And especially with, you know, players that are considered to be the top players in the entire video game on your team, and specifically your solo laners in, you know, Bin and Knight. All of a sudden they're left by the wayside at 4th place in the LPL. Sure, there's MSI and Worlds to still compete for, but you want to make sure you don't waste that opportunity if you are BLG with those two in their primes essentially on your roster. And so you have to wonder what this Split 2 is going to look like. I mean, I feel like any other team, it would be surprising to see roster changes being made after a 4th place finish, but for BLG, this team with so many expectations, you know, we will have to wait and see, of course, until April once we start the LPL up again. But for Top Esports, this is a huge moment for the organization. You've talked about it before, Alka. They've, you know, they hit their peak in 2020, and then it's been a long time coming to potentially get back to another championship, and they have a prime opportunity to do so with a crazy lower bracket run.
They've had a lot of chances to be able to pull home a trophy, but